This tutorial will cover the basics of using the PDspect Vehicle Inspection software program on your Windows desktop, laptop, or tablet. To get started, we already have our PDspect main screen open. On this screen, we can start a new inspection, open an existing inspection, access files on our cloud drive, as well as create and edit inspection forms. For the tutorial, we're going to be focusing on filling out an inspection, so we're going to click on Start a New Inspection to get started. On the screen that appears, we have our different templates or the different forms that we can choose. We're going to be using the Detailed Vehicle Inspection template, so we're going to highlight that and click on OK to continue. On this next screen is where we give the file a name. Let's go ahead and name this 1999 Ford Taurus and click on Save to continue. We're now looking at the main program screen. On the left, we have a list of the different categories, the different sections that we'll be filling out, and then when you click on one of them, the inspection information for it shows up on the right. We're going to be working in the body category, so let's go ahead and click on that. Within the body category, we have a series of lines, and each line has 3 items on it. First, you have your rating, you have what the actual line is, and then you have a spot for notes. And you simply work across the line. For hood, let's go ahead and enter a rating by clicking on the drop-down arrow. Here, we see a listing of all the ratings that are available. And these are the standard out-of-the-box ratings. You can actually edit them to match whatever terms you prefer. And for more information on how to do this, simply watch the tutorial on editing ratings. Let's say the hood's in good shape, so we're going to mark it hood. Since it is in good condition, we don't need to enter a note about it, so we can simply move on to front. For front, we're going to say that it's in good condition as well, so we're going to mark it as good. Next, we have front bumper. We're going to say that the front bumper has some issues, and so we're going to mark it as poor. Now, since we mark it as poor, we want to add a note talking about what the issue is. Now, there's 2 options for adding a note. First, we can click on the drop-down arrow that's to the right of our note box. When you do this, you'll see a listing of all the standard notes in that box. So let's go ahead and select dents, cracks, or scratches present. And when you do this, it enters the note for that item. We also notice that the paint is chipped, and because of that, we want to add another note. We'll again simply select our drop-down arrow, and we'll just click the plus sign next to paint chipped. And now we have both of our notes entered in. Now for the front bumper, we also want to add a picture. And the easiest way to add a picture is we're going to resize the PDspect program so it doesn't take the full screen up. And then next to it, we're going to actually open up the folder that has our pictures in it, which we'll do now. Now that the program is side by side, all we have to do to add in a picture is simply locate the picture we want to add in, highlight it, and then drag it and then drop it directly on the line we want to add it to, as we did here. And as you can see, we now have a picture added to our front bumper line. Once it's added in, we can actually click on it and then make some markups on it. So we're now looking at the Edit Image screen. And there's really 2 main options you have when choosing to add markups. You can add in decorations or text. Now, decorations include arrows, ellipses, as well as zoom boxes. You can actually cycle through those right over here to select the one you want. Let's go ahead and add in a couple of blue arrows. You do this by simply clicking, dragging, and then you release. Now, the second option is we can add in text. So let's go ahead and add some text in. And what we want to type in is we want to type in that there are several cracks. And so for this, we'll come to our text box and type in several cracks. Now, if you wanted to make the font a different color, we can do that by changing our color. So let's change it to white so it's a little bit easier to read. Also with the text, you can change the location as well as the size to get it to show up exactly where you want. Once you're finished adding in your text, we can click on OK. Our photo's modified, and we're ready to move on. Now we're working on a grill, and we notice that there's an issue with that as well. So we're going to mark it as very poor, and then we're going to add in a note. Now we could do like we did before and click on the drop-down for the notes, but the second way to add in a note is to simply click on the notes box, pulls it up here, and then we can edit on this screen. Just like before, we can select something from a drop-down list, or we can come down here and type something in. So let's go ahead and type in a new note. Once you type it in, we can hit OK, and we're ready to move on. Let's go ahead and skip down a few lines, and we're going to take a look at tow package. Let's say that vehicle inspecting doesn't actually have this, and so what we're going to do is we're going to mark it as not applicable. Now, when we mark something as not applicable, it's still going to show up on screen in front of us, but it's not going to show up on the printed report. Just like you can mark an individual line not applicable, you can actually mark an entire section not applicable as well. So we can jump down here to the other inspection items category, and if there's nothing here that we wanted to inspect or needed to inspect, we could come up top, mark it as not applicable. Now when we did this, you'll notice there's an X that shows up to the left of it. This just lets you know that this category has been filled out. There's nothing else you need to do. And now when we take a look at the printed report in a few moments, we'll see that the other inspection items doesn't show up anywhere. So at this point, we've shown you how to enter ratings, put in your notes, add your pictures. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the report looks like. To do this, we're going to go up to Print Preview. First off, we have our table of contents. We're going to skip ahead to the body. And as you can see, this is the part of the report we worked on. It has the comments entered in, the ratings fill out, as well as the picture right on the same line. One of the things to keep in mind as you're looking at this report is, again, these are just the standard out-of-the-box settings. You have a lot of options to really customize the way this report looks, from removing the checkboxes to changing the fonts, adding in more colors, more section headers to really match what you're looking for. We're not going to cover how that works in this tutorial, but for more information on that, watch the tutorial labeled Report Presentation Options. This concludes the basics of using PDspect on a Windows desktop, laptop, or tablet PC.